Now recording is started. मैले तिमीलाई अस्ति कहाँसम्म पढाएको थिएँ भन त
1 को ट्युटोरियल
ब्याक हो च्याप्टर 1
हो र
हजुर
च्याप्टर 1 मात्रै भइएको होला त्यसो भए अब यो स्लाइड मैले च्याप्टर 2 को स्लाइड हो which is related to the precipitation. Precipitation means any form of water reaching the earth's surface from the atmosphere is called precipitation. The major part of precipitation is generally rainfall. And for the mountainous region, the important part of precipitation is snowfall. The snowfall over the mountains regions, hills and mountains, which helps to produce the delay flow on the perennial rivers. In the perennial rivers, after melting the snow, that melted water is fed into the perennial river, which gets their supply during the dry season. So this is the important part of precipitation of that snowfall, which provides the water to the perennial rivers. Otherwise, rainfall is the major precipitation occurs. Now, precipitation, any form of water that is there, the earth's surface from the atmosphere is called precipitation. Rainfall is the major form of precipitation, and snowfall is the major form of precipitation in the mountainous region. Causes of precipitation. How the precipitation occurs? Upliftment of air mass from the water surface, land and plant body towards the atmosphere, and accumulation of moisture of the sufficient intensity in the atmosphere. Decreasing in the air temperature with rise in altitude gained by the vapor or water molecule, which is changed into water vapor, and that reaches the high altitude into the atmosphere. At that in that situation, the atmosphere temperature is cool, and there the pressure is also decreases due to in decrease in temperature as well as decrease in pressure, and the condensation takes place. The condensation, which again the evaporated water again turns into the liquid form. The evaporated water, when it gains the certain weight, then it falls on the surface of the ground. This is the colder air holds less water vapor, leads to saturation condition and promote condensation. Condensation of water vapor over a nuclei, which are normally small particles, are product of combustion available in the plenty number in the atmosphere. Growth of small water droplet to perceptible size through collision and merging. Precipitation must reach the ground in any form. Precipitation must reach the ground surface in any form. Mechanism of precipitation. The water vapor rises in the atmosphere and cools. Water droplet in clouds are formed by nucleation of vapor on aerosol. Droplet increase in size by condensation. And droplet having size greater than 0.mm to mm or above becomes heavy enough to fall. Many of the falling droplet decrease in size by evaporation, which are again lifted upward into the clouds in the air. This was some droplet increases in size by impact and aggregation. Some of the large droplet 3 to 5 mm may break up into smaller raindrops and droplets. When the diameter of the droplets becomes 0.1 to 3 mm, they starts falling. This is the mechanism. There are different forms of precipitation. The main form of precipitation is rainfall. The precipitation that occurs in the form of water droplet having the size greater than 0.5 mm and less than 0.6 mm is called rainfall. Rainfall is of three types: heavy rainfall, moderate rainfall, as well as the light rainfall, according to the intensity of rainfall. How much water is falling from the atmosphere in a certain given time period. If the depth of water that falls on the ground surface from the atmosphere in an hour The depth of water that falls on the ground surface from the atmosphere in an hour is expressed as intensity of rainfall. Higher the value of intensity of rainfall, higher will be the rainfall. Lower the value of intensity of rainfall, the lower will be the rainfall. That's why rain is again classified as light rain, moderate rain, and heavy rain. These are the for the intensity of rainfall less than 2.5 mm per hour. Then, if 2.5 mm of water is collected on the surface of the land in an hour, then this is called intensity of rainfall. This is intensity of rainfall up to 2.5 mm per hour. Greater than 1 mm per hour to up to 2.5 mm per hour, if intensity is within this range, then this is called light rain. If the intensity lies between 2.5 to 7.5 mm per hour, then it is called moderate rain. If the intensity of rainfall is greater than 7.5 mm per hour, then it is called heavy rain. This is the rainfall is the major form of precipitation. Now the snowfall occurs in Himalayan region, consists of Himalayan region and polar region, consists of ice crystal of hexagonal shape and combined to form flakes. Combined to form flakes, density varying from 0.06 to 0.15 gram per cm3. cc means cm3. This is the snow which falls in the form of the ice in the Himalayan or polar region, not in the form of water droplet. This is called snowfall. And drizzle. Drizzle is also the rainfall. If the intensity of rainfall is less than 1 mm per hour, if the intensity of rainfall is less than 1 mm per hour, and the size of the droplet is less than 0.5 mm, then that is called drizzle. Water falls on the surface of the earth surface in the form of a small water droplet having size less than 0.5 mm, and the intensity of rainfall is also very less, up to 1 mm per hour. At that time, this type of rainfall is called drizzle. This is rain in the form of liquid, but for the rain, the droplet must be greater than 0.5 mm. But for drizzle, the diameter of the droplet should be less than 0.5 mm, and the intensity must be less than 1 mm per hour. Then this is called drizzle. Glaze. Raindrop or drizzle comes in contact with cold object below 0 Celsius on the earth surface reached from ice. When the water droplet, when the water or rain drizzle or rainfall occurs from the atmosphere to the surface of the earth, if the object on the surface of the earth is cold, then when that water reaching the surface of the earth, when it comes in contact with the surface object of the surface, which is very cold, then that droplet which falls on the surface changes into ice is called glaze. After falling, the liquid water droplet, when get contact with the cold object of the earth, then that liquid droplet changes into ice, which is called glaze, which is transparent in nature. Now sleet. Sleet is the mixture of snowfall and rainfall. When there is simultaneously occurring of the rainfall as well as the snowfall, then at that time the raindrop which is falling on the surface of the earth is very cold, because there is the simultaneously rainfall and snowfall occurs at a time. That's why with the contact of the snow, the rain water droplet which is contact with the snow becomes very cold, and at that time the such type of rainfall is called sleet. Frozen raindrop. Frozen means very cold raindrop of transparent grain, which rainfall through sub-freezing temperature. That is in Britain, when rainfall and the snowfall occur simultaneously, then it is called sleet. Then it is called sleet. Hail. Hail means asina. Hail भनेको के हो? असिना हो. यो sleet भनेको पनि असिना नै हो. तर त्यो असिना कस्तो हुन्छ त भन्दाखेरि हिउँ पर्नु र पानी पर्ने सँगसँगै हुँदाखेरि हिउँको कन्ट्याक्टमा आइसकेपछि त्यो पानीको ड्रपलेट के हुन्छ? त्यो जम्न पुग्छ, चिसो भएर चाहिँ खस्छ, जमेर खस्छ, तर ट्रान्सप्यारेन्ट नेचरको छ भने त्यसलाई हामी स्लिट भन्छौँ. सँगसँगै हुनु पर्यो. रेनफल र चाहिँ स्नोफल सँगसँगै भएको कन्डिसनमा चाहिँ स्नोको कन्ट्याक्टमा आइसकेपछि रेन वाटर के हुन्छ? अब त्यो चाहिँ फ्रिजेस जम्न खोज्छ, चिसो हुन्छ र ट्रान्सप्यारेन्ट नेचरको हुन्छ भने त्यसलाई हामी स्लिट भन्छौँ है. अब हेल भनेको के हो त? असिना हो है. एकदम दर्कानदार पर्छ. डल्ला चाहिँ ठुल्ठुलो लम्प्सहरू 8 mm डायमिटर भन्दा माथिको, तर त्यो डल्लाहरू चाहिँ के हुन्छ त भन्दाखेरि त्यो डल्ला चाहिँ नि ट्रान्सप्यारेन्ट हुँदैन है. ट्रान्सप्यारेन्ट हुँदैन, ठुलो ठुलो डल्ला खस्छ. एकदम सावरी भनेको एकदम तर्केर बरर झर्छ भने त्यस्तो खालकोलाई चाहिँ हामी के भन्छौँ त भन्दाखेरि यसलाई हेलस्टोन भन्छौँ. हेलस्टोन भनेको असिना है. सावरी प्रेसिपिटेसन इन द फर्म अफ लम्प्स. लम्प्स भनेको ढिक्का डल्लाहरू of ice greater than 8 mm diameter. Ice crystal को रूपमा चाहिँ 8 mm भन्दा माथि डायमिटर हो खस्छ, not having transparency in nature. That is if you put the hailstone on your palm, then the surface of the palm below the hailstone is totally obstructed by the hailstone. You cannot see the palm from the hailstone. That is intransparent in nature. That's why it is called hailstone, which occurs generally during the hot time period. If there is the high chance of a bright sunshine hour, and at that time if rainfall occurs, then at that time hailstones may fall. Now dew. The surface of the object on the earth cools to radiation at the clear night. Dew means the sheath. Dew भनेको शीत हो. यो भनेको चाहिँ जनरली रातिमा चाहिँ नि नाइट एकदम क्लियर छ भने हाम्रो त्यो क्लियर नाइटको बेलामा चाहिँ हाम्रो चाहिँ अब्जेक्ट के भइसकेको हुन्छ? चिसो भइसकेको हुन्छ. त्यो कारणले अब एटमोस्फियरमा भएको हावा हाम्रो चिसो अब्जेक्टमा आएर मिस्दाखेरि अब्जेक्टको चाहिँ नि सर्फेसमा चाहिँ नि ओसिलोपना देखिन्छ, अथवा बोट बिरुवाका पातहरूमा चाहिँ नि मसिना डल्लाहरू चाहिँ पानीका चाहिँ कणहरू देखिन्छन्. ती कणहरू चाहिँ एक आपसमा जम्यो भने ठुलो चाहिँ थोपा पनि देखिन सक्छ. कर्कल्लाको पातमा चाहिँ धेरै कणहरू जमेर डल्लो ठुलो देखिन्छ, न त अन्य पातहरूमा मसिना डल्लाहरू देखिन्छन्, अथवा सर्फेस भिजेको हुन्छ भने त्यस्तो खालको चाहिँ नि प्रेसिपिटेसनलाई भन्छ ड्यू हैन. द सर्फेस अफ द अब्जेक्ट अन द अर्थ कुल्स ड्यू टु रेडिएसन इन द क्लियर नाइट. द मोइस्चर प्रेजेन्ट इन द एटमोस्फियर कन्डेन्सेस on the surface forming water droplet called dew. यसरी चाहिँ water droplet मा चेन्ज हुन्छ नि त्यसलाई हामी dew भन्छ. These are forms of the precipitation: rainfall, snowfall, drizzle, sleet, hailstone, dew are the major form of precipitation. What are the different types of precipitation? What are the types of precipitation? Precipitation may occur due to the difference in temperature, difference in pressure, as well as obstruction of the water vapor by the natural barriers. That's why the convection precipitation generally occurs due to the change in the temperature difference between the area. In the summer, when the area is heated unevenly, then the surrounding air mass from the cold region takes place over the heated surface, and when it reaches the heated surface, it again evaporates off, and the process continues. From the surrounding air, it enters into the hot region, and in the hot region the temperature is very hot, so that the air which entering into the hot area that evaporates off, and which condenses later, and the precipitation occurs. That is called convective precipitation. भने मतलब कुनै ठाउँमा चाहिँ नि एकदम चर्को घाम लाग्यो, त्यसको सराउन्डिङ वरिपरिको ठाउँमा त्यस्तो विधि लागेको छैन भने त्यो चर्को घाम लागेको ठाउँमा हाई टेम्परेचर भएको रिजनमा चाहिँ के भइदिन्छ भन्दा त्यहाँको एयर मास चाहिँ नि अब इभ्यापोरेटेड भएर चाहिँ एटमोस्फियरमा जान्छ। त्यो ठाउँ खाली हुन्छ, त्यसले चाहिँ त्यहाँको चाहिँ नि अब भ्यापर चाहिँ उडेर माथि गइसकेपछि त्यो ठाउँ के भयो, खाली भयो। त्यो ठाउँमा चाहिँ सराउन्डिङ चाहिँ चिसो रिजनको एयर मास आएर बस्छ, अकुपाई गर्छ। जब त्यो ठाउँमा त्यो आइपुग्छ त्यो फेरि तातेर के हुन्छ, त्यो फेरि इभ्यापोरेट भएर आकाशमा जान्छ। यसरी चाहिँ नि त्यो प्रोसेस चाहिँ के हुन्छ, चलिरहेको छ। चलिरहेदाखेरि ठुलो मात्रामा चाहिँ नि पानी बोकेको चाहिँ भ्यापर चाहिँ नि कहाँ जान्छ त भन्दाखेरि एटमोस्फियरमा जान्छ र त्यो कन्डेन्स भएर त्यसले पानी पार्छ भने त्यसलाई हामी कन्भेक्टिभ प्रिसिपिटेसन भन्छ। इट इज ड्यू टु द भेरिएसन इन द टेम्परेचर। टेम्परेचर डिफरेन्सको कारणले गर्दाखेरि एयर मास अपलिफ्ट भएर चाहिँ त्यसले अल्टिमेटली कन्डेन्स भएर चाहिँ प्रिसिपिटेसन गराउँछ भने त्यसलाई हामी कन्भेक्टिभ प्रिसिपिटेसन भन्छौँ है। अब यो साइक्लोनिक प्रिसिपिटेसन भनेको प्रेसर डिफरेन्सको कारणले हुन्छ, कन्भेक्टिभ प्रिसिपिटेसन टेम्परेचर डिफरेन्सको कारणले हुन्छ र ओरोग्राफिक प्रिसिपिटेसन चाहिँ नि नेचुरल ब्यारियर्सले कुनै हावालाई छेक्दियो र त्यसलाई चाहिँ होरिजेन्टली मुभमेन्ट भएको हावालाई चाहिँ छेकेर त्यसलाई भर्टिकल डिरेक्सनमा मुभमेन्ट गराइदियो भने, छेकेपछि भर्टिकल्ली त्यो मुभमेन्ट भएर माथि गयो भने त्यसले प्रिसिपिटेसन पार्यो भने त्यसलाई हामी ओरोग्राफिक प्रिसिपिटेसन भन्छौँ। त्यस्तो खालको प्रिसिपिटेसन जेनरली नेपालमा अकर हुन्छ रेनी सिजनमा। बङ्गालको खाडीबाट मनसुनी हावा बगेर आउँछ र त्यसलाई चाहिँ हाम्रा चाहिँ हिमालय र चाहिँ ठुल्ठुला चाहिँ पहाडहरूले त्यसलाई छेक्छ। छेकिसकेपछि होरिजेन्टल मुभमेन्टमा आएको त्यो हावा चाहिँ अब के हुन्छ, त्यसको चाहिँ डिरेक्सन चेन्ज हुन्छ र भर्टिकल अपलिफ्ट भएर त्यो मुभ हुन्छ र त्यसले गर्दाखेरि के गर्छ, प्रिसिपिटेसन गराउँछ भने त्यसलाई हामी ओरोग्राफिक प्रिसिपिटेसन भन्छौँ है। अब साइक्लोनिक प्रिसिपिटेसन भनेको के त भन्दाखेरि साइक्लोन भनेको चाहिँ के हो त भन्दाखेरि एउटा व्हिर्लिङ एयर मास हो। भने मतलब एकदम मडारिएको हावा है। त्यो मडारिएको हावाको बिचमा चाहिँ त्यसलाई सेन्टर भनिन्छ। त्यो सेन्टरमा चाहिँ नि लो प्रेसर रिजन चाहिँ क्रिएट हुन्छ। जति पनि हावा त्यो लो प्रेसर रिजनमा आइपुग्छ त्यो चाहिँ के भइदिन्छ, सराउन्डिङ एयर मासको प्रेसरको कारणले गर्दाखेरि त्यो सेन्टरमा आएको हावा चाहिँ त्यसलाई के गरिदिन्छ, अपलिफ्ट गराइदिन्छ र त्यो अपलिफ्ट गराइसकेपछि त्यसले के गर्छ, अल्टिमेटली प्रिसिपिटेसन गराउँछ भने त्यसलाई हामी साइक्लोनिक प्रिसिपिटेसन भन्छौँ है। त्यो साइक्लोनिक प्रिसिपिटेसन दुई प्रकारको हुन्छ, एउटा फ्रन्टल साइक्लोनिक प्रिसिपिटेसन, एउटा नन फ्रन्टल साइक्लोनिक प्रिसिपिटेसन। अब फ्रन्टल साइक्लोनिक प्रिसिपिटेसन र नन फ्रन्टल साइक्लोनिक प्रिसिपिटेसनमा के फरक छ भन्दाखेरि तातो र चिसो एयर मासको कुराहरू आउँछ है। अब यो फ्रन्टल साइक्लोनिक प्रिसिपिटेसनमा के हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि यदि तातो एयर मासले चिसो एयर मासलाई विस्थापित गर्छ भने त्यो बेलामा त्यसलाई वार्म फ्रन्ट भन्छ है, त्यसलाई वार्म फ्रन्ट भन्छ। यदि चिसो एयर मासले तातो एयर मासलाई विस्थापित गर्छ भने त्यसलाई के भन्छ, कोल्ड फ्रन्ट भन्छ है। अब यसरी चाहिँ कहिले वार्म फ्रन्ट हुनसक्छ, कहिले कोल्ड फ्रन्ट हुनसक्छ। जसरी पनि त्यसरी प्रेसर हावाको प्रेसर डिफरेन्सको कारणले गर्दाखेरि विकर हावालाई हाई प्रेसरमा आएको हावाले के गरिदिन्छ भन्दाखेरि अपलिफ्ट गराइदिन्छ, चारैतिरबाट प्रेसरदेखि त्यो अपलिफ्ट हुन बाध्य हुन्छ, जसले गर्दाखेरि त्यो अल्टिमेटली कन्डेन्स भएर के हुन्छ, प्रिसिपिटेसन पार्छ भने त्यसलाई हामी साइक्लोनिक फ्रन्टल प्रिसिपिटेसन भन्छौँ। यदि फ्रन्टल सर्फेस क्रिएट भएको छैन भने त्यसलाई हामी नन फ्रन्टल साइक्लोनिक प्रिसिपिटेसन भन्छौँ है। यो चाहिँ यो चिजहरू मैले अब अर्को स्लाइडमा देखाएको छु। अब यसलाई चाहिँ नि मैले यहाँ हेऱ्यौ भने है, कन्भेक्टिभ प्रिसिपिटेसन, सच टाइप अफ प्रिसिपिटेसन जनरली अकर्स ड्यू टु द टेम्परेचर भेरिएसन, ड्यू टु द टेम्परेचर भेरिएसन on the hot day when the area is heated unevenly, then air mass of that area rises up and its place is taken by the surrounding cold air mass. When the cold air mass comes in such region, they also heated quickly and rises up towards the atmosphere. In this way, continuous upward flow of air mass takes place and which condenses in the atmosphere and precipitation occurs, called convective precipitation. Such precipitation have an intensity of light shower. Intensity is light. Showery precipitation having light intensity of rainfall to the cloud burst. This may be a huge precipitation with the cloud bursting pattern. That's why the extent of the such precipitation is generally in small area. Sometimes air current having velocity greater than 150 km per hour, while upwarding, while taking the air mass from the taking the way of air mass from the surface to the atmosphere, the flow of air mass is at the higher velocity, greater than up to 150 kilometer per hour. As as the air or smoke that comes from the chimney, brick chimney, bhatta, and that in the similar way, the air mass from the surface uh, is uh, is transferred to the atmosphere due to the convection of the area, that is unequally heating pattern of that area. That's why the air which ultimately condense and the precipitation is occurs is called convective precipitation. Now, second one is orographic precipitation. As I have already discussed with that, the orographic precipitation is the major form of precipitation that occurs in the Himalayan regions such as Nepal and Bhutan. We have the high hills and mountains. When the water vapor, which is flown by the wind from the Bay of Bengal to our country, and that horizontal movement of air mass from the Bay of Bengal to Nepal is ultimately obstructed by the high hills and mountains of Nepal. That's why the horizontal movement of air mass is obstructed by the barriers, such barriers, natural barriers, and it helps to uplift that moisture in the vertical direction, and ultimately that moisture water vapor reaches into the suitable height, gains the suitable height in the atmosphere, and cools, condense, and precipitation occurs. That is called the orographic precipitation. That is called orographic precipitation. The wind flowing direction, towards the natural barrier is called windward direction, and the direction behind the natural barrier is called leeward direction. The rainfall is occurs in the windward direction. Greater rainfall is occurs at windward direction, whereas the behind side of the windward direction, opposite direction, there will be little precipitation or no precipitation occurs. In this figure, you can see here that Nepal and Bhutan is here. Warm moisture here is coming from the Bay of Bengal, which is obstructed by the Himalayas or high hills mountain. This obstructed moisture takes its way to in the vertical direction towards the atmosphere and forming the clouds, and ultimately condense and precipitation occurs over here. At the windward direction, there will be plenty of rainfall. Where the opposite side of this wind direction is called leeward direction. In leeward direction, you can see here that the Tibet and Ladakh are there. Tibet and Ladakh are there. In this region, this is the desert region of the Tibet, because precipitation occurs in the less amount here. This is called lack of rain on this side of the range is due to rain shadow creates a warm up drier climate, because the climate is very dry, because there is no precipitation or less precipitation over here. The rainfall on this side means leeward side is there, Nepal and Bhutan side of range produces plus moist climate. Russian moist climate is here because there is much more precipitation over here. This is the orographic precipitation. Now, to understand the concept of cyclonic precipitation, it is difficult to understand the concept of the cyclonic precipitation. Here I am going on this heading, cyclonic precipitation. What is cyclone? Such type of precipitation occurs by lifting of air mass due to pressure difference. If the low pressure region air mass is lifted up by the surrounding air mass flowing from the high pressure region, from the all surrounding the low pressure region air mass, and the high pressure is air mass force the air mass of the low pressure region to uplift. At that time, the low pressure region uplifted air mass reaches the atmosphere at a certain gaining certain height, and where it condenses and rainfall occurs. That is called cyclonic precipitation, which does not contain any frontal surface. This is called non-frontal cyclonic precipitation. Cyclone are the whirling air mass. What are the cyclone? Cyclone are the whirling air mass having low pressure at its center. The pressure outer region of the cyclone has the high pressure, but the inner core of the cyclone has low pressure, and the air mass of that low pressure rises up. The air mass of that low pressure rises up. That center is called I. It is of two types: non-frontal cyclonic precipitation. If low pressure occurs at an area, air will flow horizontally from the surrounding area having high pressure, causing the air at the low pressure area to lift up towards atmosphere, and after cooling and condensation, precipitation occurs called non-frontal cyclonic precipitation. The diameter of the cyclone is up to 200 km in diameter. The cyclone is the whirling air mass having huge whirling air mass, having the diameter more than up to 200 kilometer. 200 kilometer diameter. That means the air mass diameter, whirling air mass, rotating air mass, having the diameter that is greater than 200 kilometer means our Nepal's north, south north distance is 190 to 200 kilometer. You can imagine what will be the area of extension of the cyclone. That is huge air mass that is flown upward into the atmosphere by the pressure difference, by the surrounding air mass high pressure ultimately helps to uplift the low pressure region air mass at the center of the cyclone without causing any frontal surface. That is called non-frontal cyclonic precipitation. For frontal cyclonic precipitation, front is the surface which separates warm and cold air mass. Front is the surface which separates warm and cold air mass. You can see here that cold air mass is coming from here, warm air mass is here. It cold air mass flowing with the high pressure, which leaves the warm air mass to move up. This is called cold front. There is the layer between the cold air mass and the warm air mass causing the frontal surface. That is called cold front. If the cold air mass is pressure is high, then that is cold front. If the warm air mass helps to uplift the cold air mass from the stationary cold air mass, the warm air mass ultimately rises into the atmosphere quickly. Such type of font is called warm font. Such type of font is warm font. Font is the surface which separates warm and cold air mass having different density, temperature, pressure as well as current. When warm air displaces a cold air, it is called warm front. In this case, warm air moves upward over a relatively stationary wedge of the cold air mass. Precipitation is moderate and spreads over the large area. Such warm frontal precipitation helps to spread the rainfall to the larger area. Similarly, when cold air mass displaces a warm air mass, this is first figure, warm air mass, it is called cold front. In this case, warm air is forced upward by advancing wedge of the cold air mass. Precipitation is heavy, which occurs in a small area. Precipitation is heavy in case of cold frontal precipitation. Precipitation is moderate and spread over the huge area, which is called warm frontal cyclonic precipitation. This is the precipitation generally occurs due to the pressure difference or temperature, pressure as well as the velocity of the flow. Due to such causes, the upliftment of air mass occurs, and ultimately that lifted air mass will condense and falls in any form of the precipitation on the Earth's surface. These are very important. It is very important. What are the different forms of precipitation? What are the different types of precipitation? Explain what are the different types of precipitation. In theory, such type of question can be asked in the examination. Now, I'll move forward. This measurement of rainfall and type and adequacy of rain gauges. The precipitation, the major form of precipitation is the rainfall. The rainfall is measured in terms of the depth of water that is fallen on the surface of the earth. That is, if the water that reaches the surface of the earth from the atmosphere is not lost from the surface of the earth, that is, if it is not infiltrated into the ground, if it is not flow from the surface of the ground, if there is no loss of water from the evaporation, transpiration, etc., then if the level of the ground surface of the earth is plain, then that much depth of water which is measured as rainfall height, rainfall depth, is accumulated on the surface of the earth. That is, that depth of water sink the surface of the earth. That means the depth of water, it is generally measured in the depth of water. In 24 hours, generally, the depth of water is measured, and that depth of water is called rainfall of that area in 24 hours. This is measured in the depth of water. Rainfall is measured in terms of depth of water accumulated in the day using the rain gauges. That depth is collected by the rain gauges, and we can measure that depth. It is measured in mm or cm or inches. It is supposed that the area is plain and horizontal, and there is no loss of water from the surfaces by infiltration, by evaporation, as surface runoff also. Rain gauges. What are the rain gauges? Rain gauges are the instruments or device used to measure the rainfall depth. There are two types of rain gauges. One is non-recording type rain gauge, which is also called Simon's rain gauge, and others are the recording types of rain gauge. Such rain gauge may be wetting type rain gauge, floating type rain gauge, or tipping bucket type rain gauge. These three figures beyond the first figures are recording type rain gauge, whereas the first figure is the non-recording type rain gauge. Non-recording type rain gauge does not gives the permanent rainfall records. It only collects the rainwater that enters into it. That is, it only collects the rainwater. That rainwater should be again measured by pouring the water in the cylinder, and in the depth of mm, that is graduated mm. In the graduated readings are provided in the cylinder, that depth height is calculated. Or if we don't have the graduation in the cylinder, then the strip of foot or stick may be dipped into the that cylinder, and weighted height is measured. How much that height will be the depth of water. This is measured, and the measurement is generally expressed as mm. आज यति mm पानी पर्यो पोखरामा, हैन, काठमाडौँमा वर्षा आज यति mm भयो भन्छ है। त mm भनेको के हो त भने यदि काठमाडौँमा परेको पानी काठमाडौँको चाहिँ जमिनबाट लस भएर गएन, इन्फिल्ट्रेसन नि भएन, इभ्यापोरेसन भएन, काठमाडौँको जमिन प्लेन छ, सम्म छ भने त्यो बेलामा त पानी त्यहाँ परेको पानी जम्मा भएको भए त्यसले 12 mm चाहिँ नि काठमाडौँको चाहिँ सतहलाई डुबान गर्थ्यो भन्ने जनाउँछ। भने जति धेरै डुबान गर्यो उति धेरै ठुलो पानी पर्यो भन्ने जनाउँछ। त्यो हुनाले डेप्थ अफ वाटरमा के गरिन्छ, एक्सप्रेस गरिन्छ। नन रेकर्डिङ टाइप रेन गजमा के हुन्छ त भने नन रेकर्डिङ टाइप रेन गजले पर्मानेन्ट रेनफल रेकर्ड दिँदैन, यसले खालि रेन वाटर कलेक्ट मात्रै गर्छ। यो भाँडो त भाँडो हुन्छ, त भाँडोमा कति रेन वाटर ड्रप खस्छ त्यो कलेक्टेड भयो, 24 घण्टामा गएर हेऱ्यो, अनि त्यो बोतल निकाल्यो, बोतललाई चाहिँ केमा गर्यो, सिलिन्डरमा खनायो, सिलिन्डरमा भएको ग्रेजुएसनले नाप्न मिल्छ, त्यही नाप्यो। होइन भने चाहिँ नि हामी चाहिँ डिप स्टिक अथवा रुलरहरू चाहिँ नि इन्सर्ट गर्यो, त्यसको कति हाइट चाहिँ नि पानीले भिजेको छ त्यो सर्फेस चाहिँ के हुन्छ त भन्दाखेरि यति एमएम पानी पर्यो भनेर हामी के गर्छौँ, हिसाब किताब गर्छौँ। यसले कुनै पनि के दिँदैन, पर्मानेन्ट रेनफल रेकर्ड दिँदैन। 24 घण्टामा टोटल पानी कति पर्यो, कति डेप्थ पानी पर्यो भनेर दिन्छ, तर कतिखेर पानी पर्यो, कतिखेर पानी बिदो भयो, कतिखेर कुन रेटमा पानी पर्यो भन्ने कुरा थाहा हुँदैन। त्यसले के गर्दैन, अनि यसको डाटा लिनलाई सधैँ के गर्नु पर्यो, मान्छे त्यो नन रेकर्डिङ रेन गज भएको ठाउँ स्टेसनमा सधैँ पुग्नुपर्छ, उति त्यहाँ डाटा लिनै पर्छ। त्यसले चाहिँ त्यसमा इलेक्ट्रोनिकल्ली कुनै डाटालाई चाहिँ नि मेसेजको रूपमा चाहिँ नि मेट्रोलोजिकल स्टेसन अथवा चाहिँ कुनै डाटाहरू चाहिँ नि ग्राफिकल चार्टको रूपमा चाहिँ त्यसले भरिदिएर अनि चार्ट मात्रै बोकेर हिँड्ने, पानीलाई चाहिँ हेर्दैन यदि खालको त्यो रेकर्डिङ हुँदैन। त्यो हुनाले यसलाई नन रेकर्डिङ टाइप रेन गज भनिन्छ, जसले चाहिँ खालि रेन वाटरलाई कलेक्ट गर्छ। कलेक्ट गरेको रेन वाटरलाई हामी सिलिन्डरमा चाहिँ मेजरिङ सिलिन्डरमा खनाएर हामी के गर्छौँ त भन्दाखेरि फेरि त्यसको हाइट नाप्नुपर्ने हुन्छ, डेप्थ नाप्नुपर्ने हुन्छ। त्यो चाहिँ नन रेकर्डिङ टाइप हो। अर्को रेकर्डिङ टाइपमा के हुन्छ त भने रेकर्डिङ टाइपमा चाहिँ नि त्यस्तो खालको चाहिँ नि मान्छे गएर चाहिँ रेकर्ड गरिहाल्नु पर्ने होइन, अटोमेटिकल्ली पनि त्यसले रेकर्ड गर्ने सिस्टम हुन्छ। त्यो अटोमेटिकल्ली रेकर्ड गरेको सिस्टम चाहिँ नि के कहाँ पठाउँछ त भन्दाखेरि हाइड्रोमेट्रोलोजिकल स्टेसनमा चाहिँ डाइरेक्टली पठाउन पनि सक्छ, अथवा चाहिँ नि त्यहाँ मेकानिजम हुन्छ। त्यो मेकानिजममा रेन वाटर चार्टमा चाहिँ भर्न पर्ने हुन्छ। त्यो भर्ने काम कसले गर्छ भन्दाखेरि त्यही इन्स्ट्रुमेन्टमा प्रोभाइड गरेको त्यसमा प्रोभाइड गरेको चाहिँ नि उपकरणहरूले नै को मद्दतले के गर्न सकिन्छ त भन्दाखेरि रेनफल चार्टहरू मेसिनले अटोमेटिकल ड्र गर्छ। त्यसको आधारमा पानी परिरहेको थियो कि थिएन, कति घन्टा पानी पर्यो, कतिखेर पानी बिदा भयो होइन, पानी कन्टिन्युस चाहिँ परिरहेको छ कि अथवा पानी बिदा भइसक्यो कि, एकचोटि बिदा भएर फेरि अर्कोचोटि पानी पऱ्यो कि परेन भन्ने जम्मै चिजको रेकर्ड चाहिँ यो रेकर्डिङ टाइप रेन गजले राख्छ। सच रेन गज इज नट ओन्ली कलेक्ट्स रेन वाटर बट अल्सो प्रोभाइड द पर्मानेन्ट रेनफल रेकर्ड्स। पर्मानेन्ट रेनफल रेकर्ड त्यसले प्रोभाइड गर्ने भएको हुनाले यसलाई हामी रेकर्डिङ टाइप रन भन्छौँ। जस्तो वेडिङ बकेट टाइप, फ्लोट टाइप र टिपिङ बकेट टाइप्स आर द मेजर टाइप्स अफ रेकर्डिङ टाइप रेन गजेस। What are the how these rain gauges works? This is the main thing you should understand. Wetting bucket type, as you see in this figure, the rainwater collected from the receiving funnel, from the atmosphere, rainwater enters from here, and the funnel is provided at the neck of the container, and that funnel water is collected over this catch bucket. That catch bucket is on the measuring pan, spring balance. When this spring balance is provided with the shaft here, the shaft is attached with the recording pen, and there is the system of the revolving drum chart over which the rainfall chart is wrapped, and this revolving drum is continuously rotating. That's why when the rainwater collected in the bucket is more, then this spring balance moves down. That when this spring balance moves down, then the shaft attached to this balance also moves down. This shaft is attached by the recording pen. The tip of the pen is just touches the wrapping paper of the revolving drum. If there is continuous rainfall, then the collected rainwater, due to the collected rainwater, this spring balance moves downward, and the recording pen records the rainfall data in the downward direction of this wrapping chart automatically. If there is no rainfall, then this tip of the recording pen will draw the straight line on the wrapping paper, which gives the permanent rainfall data records in the downward direction. But in case of floating type rain gauge, this is the second figure. If you see here that rainwater is collected from here to this funnel, and rainwater is collected into this reservoir. This reservoir consists of the float. Float is provided. Float is here. When rainwater is collected in this reservoir, due to the rise in the rainwater, this float rises up. This float is provided with the shaft. Shaft is provided with the pen, and there is the revolving drum here also. In this case, there is also revolving drum, which is wrapped by the rainfall chart, and this pen tip just records the rainfall data in the upward direction, while in the wetting bucket shaft it records in the downward direction. In float type it records in the upward direction. This is the Both of them have the similar principle. One records in upward direction, another records in downward direction. This is the wetting bucket and float type of rain gauge. For in the case of tipping bucket type rain gauge, you can see here that these two are the tipping buckets. These two are the tipping buckets. When rainwater from the funnel of 0.25 mm is received on one upper compartment bucket, then it tips, and the rainwater collected on this upper compartment pour into the measuring tube below it. Uh, and during the tipping of the bucket of the upper compartment is tipped, and it drains it supply toward the measuring tube, and the while tipping of this upper compartment, the second compartment below it just takes its place, and the rainwater when fills up the depth of 0.25 mm, then this compartment again tips, and the lower compartment takes its place. Similarly, this while the one tipping of the bucket, when there is the mechanism of tipping of the bucket, which uh, during the tipping of bucket the electric circuit completes, and that signal is electronically transferred to the hydrometeorological station on in the computer or storage system provided in the hydrometeorology station automatically records the tipping of the buckets in the computer, that one can easily know how much water is collected in the tipping bucket gauge. That can be, we should not have to go to the station to measure the rainfall records daily. If the station is inaccessible at the inaccessible site, then in such places the tipping bucket type, if we use the tipping bucket type, then it may it may help not to go there. We should not go there, so that rainwater without reaching the station, the rainfall records data can be automatically transferred to the hydrometeorological station by the system. This is called tipping bucket type rain gauge, which is the modern advanced type of rain gauge among three recurring types of rain gauge. Wetting bucket and tipping float bucket is same, but the tipping bucket is different. It is the vast modern type of record, which consists of two alternate tipping buckets one above another. When first compartment or upper compartment receives the 0.25 mm of rainwater, it tips into the reservoir, and its place is taken up by the lower compartment. And again, when lower compartment gets the 0.25 mm of water, it again tips and discharges its water into the measuring tube or reservoir, and the lower compartment takes its place. In this way, the during the tipping of the bucket, the electric circuit completes, and that record is transferred to the hydrometeorological station by the station electronically by the system. This is the tipping bucket type rain gauge. Now, these are the description of wetting bucket type, float type, and tipping bucket type, which I have already discussed. मैले अहिले नै भनिसकेँ, यो तीनटा चाहिँ के हो त भन्दाखेरि नन रेकर्डिङ टाइपको चाहिँ रेन गज हो। अब यो वेटिङ बकेट र फ्लोट टाइपले चाहिँ नि वेटिङ बकेटले डाउनवर्ड डिरेक्सनमा चाहिँ रेकर्ड गर्छ भने फ्लोट टाइपले के गर्छ भन्दा अपवर्ड डिरेक्सनमा रेकर्ड गर्छ। दुईटैको रेकर्ड गर्ने मेकानिजम चाहिँ के हो त भन्दाखेरि सिमिलर नेचरको छ। यो पढेपछि तिमीहरूले बुझ्छौ। थर्डमा चाहिँ टिपिङ बकेट टाइप भने चाहिँ के हो त भन्दाखेरि दिस इज द एडभान्स टाइप अफ रेकर्डिङ रेन गज कन्सिस्ट अफ डबल compartment of tipping buckets. When upper compartment receives 0.25 mm of rainwater, it tips and discharging water into the reservoir or measuring tube. And second compartment of tipping bucket takes its place as shown in figure. The tipping of buckets complete an electric circuit which is electronically transferred to the hydrometeorological station by the system. System ले पठाउँछ, no need of reading the rainfall, no need of measuring the rainfall data. That is, such type of rain gauge is useful for the inaccessible places. Adequacy of rain gauge station. What will be the maximum number of rain gauge stations for a certain catchment area to get the rainfall records, to get the rainfall value relevantly? We should check the adequacy of rain gauge station with the help of the rainfall data recorded by the existing rainfall stations, existing rain gauge stations. With the help of existing rain gauge station and their data, we have to find the whether the numbers of stations provided present is adequate or not for measuring the relevant rainfall record data. That is checked up by using the adequacy of rainfall station using the statistical approach. This is called adequacy of rain gauge station. The total number of maximum optimum number of rain gauge station that can be required for that catchment area is given by statistical formula n is equal to Cv by E power whole square. That is Cv is the coefficient of variance, E is the degree of error in the measurement of the rainfall in percentage. E is in percentage. Cv is calculated by using statistical formula sigma by Pm into 100. Pm is the mean precipitation of the area. Sigma is the standard deviation, which is given by the formula. Standard deviation is under root summation P minus summation P minus P mean whole square divided by n minus 1 under in the under root format, and that is where n is equal to number of provided stations, and P is the precipitation of individual station, Pm is the average precipitation of the catchment, n is the number of stations or number of data. With the known value of P and P bar or Pm, we find the standard deviation. You have already studied about it, standard deviation in the statistics also. This is the formula related to the rainfall value. And after knowing the sigma and Cv, sigma and Cv is calculated. After knowing the Cv with the sorted allowance of the percentage error in calculation of the measurement of the rainfall records, we can find the total number of rain gauge stations, maximum number of rain gauge stations for that area using this formula. अब यो फर्मुला लगाएर हामी के गर्न सक्छौं त भन्दाखेरि हामीलाई चाहिँ भइरहेको चाहिँ क्याचमेन्ट एरियामा प्रोभाइड गरेको रेनफल स्टेसन पर्याप्त मात्रामा पुग्ने अवस्थाको हो कि हैन भनेर चेक गर्नु पर्यो भने हामी यो स्ट्याटिस्टिकल एप्रोच प्रयोग गरेर के गर्न सक्छौं त भन्दाखेरि अप्टिमम नम्बर अफ रेन गज स्टेसन रिक्वायर्ड फर दैट एरिया, त्यो एरियालाई चाहिने म्याक्सिमम नम्बर अफ रेन गज स्टेसन हामी पत्ता लगाउन सक्छौं। रेनफलको डाटा पनि अब ठाउँ-ठाउँमा चाहिँ पोखरा भनेर पोखराको एउटा सिंगल ठाउँमा चाहिँ बाट चाहिँ मेजरमेन्ट गरेको रेनफलले निकालेको रेकर्ड र पोखराका विभिन्न ठाउँमा राखेको चाहिँ रेनगजले चाहिँ निकालेको रेकर्डमा हेर्यो भने धेरै ठाउँमा रेनगजहरु राखेको छ, त्यसबाट निकालेको रेकर्ड चाहिँ के हुन्छ भन्दा अलि रेलिभेन्ट हुन्छ। किनभने अब एउटा कुनामा पानी पर्छ, अर्को कुनामा पानी परेको हुँदैन, अनि पोखराको जम्मै भागमा चाहिँ पानी पर्यो भने चाहिँ एउटा कुनामा परेको पानीको आधारमा चाहिँ टन्न यति पानी परेछ भनेर अनुमान गर्दाखेरि के हुन्छ त भन्दाखेरि हामीले सोचे जस्तो रिजल्ट आउँदैन। तर एभरेज रूपमा हेर्ने हो भने कोही ठाउँमा पानी अलिअलि परेको होला, कोही ठाउँमा धेरै बेसी परेको होला, कोही ठाउँमा पर्दै परेको छैन होला हैन, कोही ठाउँमा लाइट रेन परेको होला, कोही ठाउँमा मोडरेट होला, विभिन्न किसिमको हुन सक्छ। अब हाम्रो स्टेसन अनुसार कतिवटा स्टेसन छन्, त्यसैको आधारमा चाहिँ हामी के गर्न सक्छौं त भन्दाखेरि त्यो भएको स्टेसन पर्याप्त छ कि छैन भनेर चेक गर्न सक्छौं। त्यो गर्ने भनेको एडिक्वेसी अफ रेन गज स्टेसन पत्ता लगाउने हो। त्यो गर्ने भनेको बाइ युजिङ द स्ट्याटिस्टिकल फर्मुला। दिस इज द फर्मुला n is equal to number of optimum number of rain gauge station required for that area. Cv is the coefficient of barrier, E is the allowable degree of error in measurement of rainfall data in percent, and sigma is the standard deviation. PM is the mean precipitation. P is equal to precipitation of the individual station. यो फर्मुला लाएर निकाल्ने यहाँसम्म बुझ्यौ? हेलो हेलो
Yes, sir, we understand it.
Then I will go to the next. Snowfall and its measurement. What is the snowfall? Snowfall is generally takes place in mountain and polar regions. It is responsible for delay flow in the perennial rivers for continuous supply throughout the year. Snowfall is measured in terms of snow depth. Snowfall is measured, rainfall is measured in terms of rainfall depth. Snowfall is also measured in terms of snow depth. That snow depth is converted into the liquid water depth later, which is also called water equivalent depth of the snow. And according to that water equivalent depth, we can find how much precipitation is occurring in that area in terms of rainfall. Depth of snowfall. A graduated depth of snowfall is measured by the staff or graduated stick or poles, and is used to measure the depth of snowfall at a selected place. Average value of several measurements in an area provides the snow depth. The snow depth is taken at different points of that area, and the average value of depth of snow collected on the surface of the earth from the previous snow height to the new snow height. That graduated depth is called snow depth, and that depth is converted into the water equivalent depth later. Snow boards having size of 40 square centimeter are used to collect the snow sample. Snow boards are used to collect the snow samples, and they are placed on the original surface of previously deposited snow, and after snowfall samples are cut off from the board, and depth of snow as well as water equivalent of snow are derived and recorded. For we have, because the snow has the different density, snow has the different density, we should know the density of the fallen snow at that day or at that during that period. So the density may be different according to the water equivalent formula. Depth of snow is multiplied by density of snow and divided by density of water, which gives the water depth equivalent depth of snow. If snow is melted, then that the melted snow will have the water equivalent depth of that much, which is calculated later. For this, density of snow is required. Density of water is known, and density of snow may vary. That's why the snow sample should be taken in the 40 square centimeter snowboard. Snowboard is used, and with the help of area and depth of snowboard, the volume of the snow is calculated, and that board and snow weight is measured, and that from that measure weight, the weight of the board is deducted, then weight of the snow is calculated. That is, mass of the snow is calculated, and density of snow will be the weight of the snow divided by the volume of the snowboard, gives the value of density of snow. After knowing the density of snow, we already measure the depth of snow by graduated staff or pole. The depth is there, and density of snow is calculated from the snowboard sample snowboard sample snow, and after finding the depth and snowboard samples density of snow, this is divided by the density of water to convert the solid snow into the water equivalent depth. Water equivalent of snow is obtained in two ways, using snow gauges and snow tubes. Snow gauges are the graduated staff pole sticks. They used to collect the snow, and these gauges, they consist of large cylinder of die 2 3 mm having funnel-like fulcrum of cone. 1:6, 1 horizontal is 6 side slope. Fulcrum of the cone is sloping there. Slope is provided at the top of to ensure the collection into the gauge. The collected snow is brought into the warm room, and it is melted by adding pre-measured hot water. Through weighting or volume measurement, water equivalent of snow is recorded. Snow tubes. Snow tubes are 40 mm to 90 mm diameter telescopic metal tube which is inserted into the snow fall area up to its bottom of the deposit. The tube is twisted to cut snow core, which is studied for physical properties and melted to obtain water equivalent of the snow core. These are the snow gauge and the snow tubes are used to find the water equivalent depth of the snow. Now, we study about how rainfall is measured, how snowfall is measured. These are the methods we should know, and the estimation of missing rainfall data. We have the 36 now. Okay, estimation of missing rainfall data. Sometimes a catchment area may have several number of rain gauge stations. These rain gauge stations rain recorded data are collected, and the average value of the rainfall is the mean precipitation of that area. Average value of rainfall that is recorded in neighboring stations of that region or of that catchment area, which provides the average rainfall of that area. And we can estimate the missing rainfall data. We can estimate the missing rainfall data by two methods. One is arithmetical average method. If the annual normal precipitation of the neighboring station are within 10% of variation with the normal annual precipitation of missing data, then missing precipitation of X is estimated as the average precipitation of the neighboring station by the of that day, week or month, etc. You can share that when sometimes there may be 4, 5, 6 number of stations to record the rainfall data of the certain catchment area, and if one day one station is missed to take the data, or there may be chance of the damage of the instrument of that station. Sometimes rain gauge station doesn't work properly. Sometimes men did not reach the station to collect the rainwater data. At that time, that station's rainfall is missing. So, if all the others neighboring stations rainfall data is taken, but if single rainfall data is missing, that in that case we estimate that missed rainfall data. That missed rainfall data by using the arithmetic average method. When this method is only applicable that if the neighboring stations annual precipitation, if the neighboring stations annual normal precipitation and the station whose annual normal precipitation whose missing value is to be estimated, has the normal annual if the variation of normal annual precipitation between the neighboring stations and the neighboring stations and the concerned station, then at that time if the variation is within 10%, then arithmetic average method can be used. That is, if there are 5 stations and 4 stations have the rainfall record on that day, one station's record is missing, then if the normal annual precipitation of the missing station as well as the neighboring stations are within the range of between plus minus 10% variation, then at that time if the collected rainwater depth of individual stations average will be the missing stations average rainfall data. Only if the annual normal precipitation of the neighboring stations are within the 10% variation with the normal annual precipitation of the missing station, if this condition is there, then only we can use the arithmetic average method. If they are not within if the normal annual precipitation of the neighboring stations are not within the 10% variation of that concerned station, then at that time we use the formula. We use the formula to find the rainfall, missing rainfall. And this is the next formula. Normal ratio method formula is used. That is, normal in the average method, missing rainfall of the station X, missing rainfall is Px, it is taken as 1 by m P1 plus P2 plus P3 plus PM stations. Means all stations recorded rainfall is average, because there are m numbers of stations. That's why these are P1, P2, P3, PM are the recorded rainfall data of station 1, station 2, station 3, and station M. So the stations from 1 to M, there are m numbers of stations. The average value will be this value, summation of this value divided by m. This is the this will be the estimated precipitation of the missing rainfall station in the arithmetic mean method. For if there is the normal annual precipitation of any one neighboring station does not lie within 10% variation of the annual normal precipitation of the missing station X, the normal ratio method should be used instead of arithmetic average method for estimating a missing precipitation of station X. Here, if this is not within plus minus 10%, then you should use the statistical formula, which is to find the normal ratio method. The normal, the estimated missing precipitation of the estimated missing station X be the Px. Px is given by Nx by M, P1 by N1 plus P2 by N2 plus P3 by N3 plus Pm by Nm. This is the formula used to calculate the missing precipitation of that day or of that month or of that week of the station X from the record of the neighboring stations 1, 2, 3 up to n numbers of neighboring stations records. We can estimate the missing data of the missing precipitation of that duration with the help of neighboring data records. These are the two methods used to calculate the missing precipitation of the unmeasured rainfall station during that period. मैले भनेको कुरा बुझ्यौ? हेलो, यो एस्टिमेसन अफ मिसिङ रेनफल डाटा भने के हो त भन्दाखेरि कुनै पनि क्याचमेन्ट एरियामा त्यो क्याचमेन्ट एरियामा कति पानी पर्यो त भन्नको लागि त्यसका वरिपरि 5-7 वटा रेनगज स्टेसनहरू जेनरली राखिएको हुन्छ है। त्यो जम्मै रेनगज स्टेसनले चाहिँ कलेक्ट गरेको रेनफलको डाटाको आधारमा एभरेजिङ गरेर चाहिँ हामीले त्यो ठाउँमा यति पानी परेछ भनेर चाहिँ रेडियोले फुक्ने काम गर्छ अथवा सुनाउँछ है। अब त्यो चाहिँ नि एभरेज कहिलेकाहीँ के हुन्छ त भन्दाखेरि कुनै पार्टिकुलर लोकेसनको रेनगज स्टेसनमा भएको रेनगजै बिग्रिएको हुनसक्छ। त्यहाँ अटोमेटिक रेनगज त्यो बिग्रियो, अब कामै गरेन भने त्यसको रेकर्डै भयो हैन। तर अरू स्टेसन अरू नेबरिङ स्टेसनले काम गरिरहेका छन्, एउटाको मात्र के भयो त भन्दाखेरि त्यहाँ मिसिङ भयो भने त्यो मिसिङ भएको दिन अथवा त्यो मिसिङ भएको हप्ता अथवा मिसिङ भएको विकमा त्यो त्यहाँको चाहिँ प्रिसिपिटेसन कति हुनु पर्थ्यो त त्यो बिग्रिएको मिसिङ भएको ठाउँमा अथवा रेकर्ड लिन छुटाएको ठाउँमा चाहिँ त्यहाँ कति हुनु पर्थ्यो भनेर अनुमान गरिन्छ। त्यो अनुमान गर्नलाई दुईटा मेथड चाहिँ के गरिन्छ युज गरिन्छ, एउटा एरिथमेटिक एभरेज मेथड, अर्को चाहिँ नि नर्मल रेसियो मेथड, दुईटा मेथडबाट गरिन्छ। त्यो एरिथमेटिक एभरेज मेथडमा के हुन्छ त भन्दाखेरि यदि मिसिङ स्टेसन र अरू नेबरिङ स्टेसन्सको चाहिँ नि कुनै पनि नेबरिङ स्टेसन्सको बिचमा सबै स्टेसनको बिचमा तिनीहरूको वार्षिक पहिलाका वर्षहरूमा रेकर्ड भएको रेनफलको डाटा चाहिँ वार्षिक रेनफलको डाटा चाहिँ ती छिमेकी चाहिँ स्टेसन र जुन मिसिङ भएको स्टेसनको नर्मल चाहिँ एनुअल रेनफलको डाटा चाहिँ यदि 10% तलमाथि भन्दा भएको छैन, 10% भन्दा माथि गएकै छैन, त्यही भित्र तिनीहरू चाहिँ के हुन्छ कहिले बढी कहिले घटी त्यस्तो खालको रेकर्ड भएको चाहिँ ट्रेन्ड छ भने त्यो अवस्थामा मात्रै हामी के गर्न सक्छौँ त भन्दाखेरि एरिथमेटिक एभरेज मेथड युज गर्छौँ। जति पनि रेकर्ड भएका अन्य नेबरिङ स्टेसनको त त्यो दिनको डाटा रेकर्ड भएको थियो, तिनीहरूको रेकर्ड भएको डाटा लिने त्यसको एभरेज गरेर जुन आउँछ त्यो नै के हुन्छ त भन्दाखेरि मिसिङ रेनफल स्टेसनको पनि रेनफल हामी त्यसरी अनुमान गर्न सक्छौँ। यो पहिलो मेथड हो। दोस्रो मेथडमा के हो त भन्दाखेरि यदि वार्षिक चाहिँ एनुअल चाहिँ रेनफल पहिलाको ट्रेन्डमा हेर्दाखेरिको रेनफल जुन मिसिङ स्टेसन र अन्य नेबरिङ स्टेसनको तुलना गरेर हेऱ्यो भने नेबरिङ स्टेसन मध्ये कुनै एउटा सिंगल नेबरिङ स्टेसनको चाहिँ एनुअल रेनफल रेकर्ड पनि त्यो मिसिङ रेनफल स्टेसनको भन्दा प्लस माइनस 10%ले चाहिँ के भयो त भन्दा बढी भइदियो है। त्यो प्लस माइनस 10% भित्र भएन कि 10% भन्दा त धेरै नै तल आयो, कि 10% भन्दा धेरै माथि जाने कन्डिसन आइदियो भने त्यस्तो चाहिँ रेकर्ड छ भने त्यो बेलामा हामी अरिथमेटिक मिन मेथडबाट युज गर्न पाउँदैनौँ, त्यसको चाहिँ इस्टिमेट गर्न पाउँदैनौँ। त्यो बेला हामीले के गर्नुपर्छ त भन्दाखेरि नर्मल रेसियो मेथड युज गरिन्छ। px इक्वल टु nx बाई m, p1 बाई n1 प्लस p2 बाई n2 यो फर्मुला लगाउने। यसमा px भनेको मिसिङ स्टेसनको रेनफल रेकर्ड हो, त्यति हुनुपर्छ, इस्टिमेटेड रेनफल हो। nx भनेको नर्मल एनुअल प्रिसिपिटेसन अफ द मिसिङ स्टेसन हो nx भनेको। अब n1 n2 n3 nm भनेको चाहिँ नि अरू नेबरिङ स्टेसनहरू छन् जुन 1 2 3 4 हुँदै m नम्बरसम्म उसको वरिपरि भएका स्टेसनहरू छन्, तिनीहरूको चाहिँ नि एनुअल नर्मल प्रिसिपिटेसन भनेको n1 n2 n3 भनेको रेस्पेक्टिभ त्यही भइहाल्यो। p1 p2 p3 p4 pm भनेको चाहिँ नि त्यो नेबरिङ स्टेसनले त्यो दिन अथवा त्यो हप्ता अथवा त्यो महिना कलेक्टेड गरेको रेन वाटरको डेप्थलाई हामी के भन्छौँ p1 p2 p3 pm। यो चाहिँ थाहा छ, थाहा नभएको हामीलाई के छ px थाहा छैन। त्यो px चाहिँ नि नर्मल रेसियोबाट हामीले यसरी क्याल्कुलेट गर्न सक्छौँ। बुझ्यौ यहाँसम्म? बुझ्यो? हेलो हेलो, कोही त बोल न, सुतेछ है क्या? कुशल गौतम, तिमीले सुनेको छौ कि बुझेछ कि बुझेको छैन मैले भनेको कुरो? हेलो प्लिज एन्सर मी, have you all understood or not? बुझेछ कि छैन यो? If you don't understand, then I'll repeat again. If you understood or understand, then it's okay. Let me know. Are you all hearing me or not? Are you all listening me or not? Hello?
Yes sir, yes sir, I understand.
हो, सोध्ने बित्तिकै जवाफ दिने हो के? यत्रो बेर 2 घण्टा लाएर चाहिँ कुरेर बस्ने होइन नि। उत्तर देशी एउटाले यसो जवाफ दिए हुन्छ होइन, बुझेको छ भने बुझेको छ भन्ने, बुझेको छैन भन्ने। तर फेरि दोहोऱ्याइदिनुहोस् त भन्यो भने दोहोऱ्याइदिन्छु म, होइन भने यो सजिलै छ। यो फर्मुलाहरू युज गर्नुपर्छ। यो फर्मुलाको अहिले बुझिया छैन के फर्मुला भन्दा भोलि न्युमेरिकल गर्दाखेरि ए यसरी आएछ भन्ने कुरा थाहा हुन्छ है। न्युमेरिकल पोर्सन गरिसकेपछि पनि कतिपय थ्योरिटिकल पोर्सनहरू बुझिन्छ। अब अहिले चाहिँ के हो भन्ने डराउनु पर्दैन। भोलि न्युमेरिकलमा आइसकेपछि मैले यसलाई लगेर न्युमेरिकलमा लगेर लिङ्क गरिदिन्छु। न्युमेरिकलमा लगेर लिङ्क गरेपछि यसरी गरेर चाहिँ यस्तो रहेछ भन्ने कुरा थ्योरिटिकल पार्ट त्यहाँ बुझ्न सकिन्छ। अब अहिले चाहिँ सिम्पल हो, यहाँ यो भर्चुअल क्लास भएको हुनाले ठ्याक्कै चाहिँ नि बुझ्नलाई चाहिँ अब गाह्रो छ भने पनि के फरक पर्दैन, यसलाई म पछि फेरि बुझाइहाल्छु। त्यो हुनाले अब 12:48 पनि भयो, तिमीहरूको 1:05सम्म हो। अब यो टेस्ट फर इन्कन्सिस्टेन्सी भनेर फेरि पढाउन थाल्यो भने अझै समय लाग्छ यसको है। त्यही भएर मैले यो 2.4सम्म चाहिँ मैले पढाएँ। योभन्दा पछाडि अरू पनि बाँकी छन् धेरै नै यसको यो च्याप्टरको, किनभने यो 8 आवरको च्याप्टर हो। दिस इज द च्याप्टर अफ 8 आवर है। अब 8 आवरमा यो सकिँदैन, 16 आवरभन्दा कम नलाग्ला, किनभने यसको न्युमेरिकलहरू पनि छ, जम्मै गर्नु पऱ्यो होइन, त्यसले गर्दा लाग्छ समय। त्यो हुनाले अब यो टेस्ट फर इन्कन्सिस्टेन्सी भन्ने मैले अहिले पढाइनँ, किनभने अलिकति समय लाग्छ यसलाई बुझाउनुको लागि। त्यो हिसाब किताबमा चाहिँ अर्को दिन गरौँला। ल आजलाई यति नै भयो। लेट मी टेक योर एटेन्डेन्स। I downloaded your attendance. I have downloaded the attendance. Your 37 students are present here. According to this, who is coming, who is not coming, I have the record because I have already downloaded the attendance of yours. Now let me leave now. It's time. I want to end this meeting. I'm good, bye.
थ्याङ्क यू सर सर रेकर्डिङ गरिदिनु है सेभ गरिदिनु है
Recording is saved automatically.